Hello, I was going to give you a quick tour of my garden here in Zone 7B. It's about mid-June and we've been going underway here for a while. We're going to do a quick tour and then we'll get into some more of the specifics. I have about 268 square feet of raised bore, and then I have a 16-foot bed that happens to be right there that's for my 4-year-old son that he grows. And then I also have about a 24-foot bed that my daughter uses as a fairy garden. But this is the main stuff here. Most of the beds I started about 4 years ago, and the ones that you see here in front of you, it's kind of like a capital E shape that goes in there, so it gives me 2 4-foot wide areas to step in and kind of see what's going on in the garden so I can access everything. I made this about 4 years ago with lumber that I got from the Habitat Reuse Center that came out of somebody's attic when they were demoing a house, and I cleaned it up a little bit and used it. That cost about $30. And it's lasted well. I had to replace a few boards this year and I'll have to replace a few more next year, but I really like to use non-treated lumber, so there's no chemicals or anything exciting like that in there. They'll leach into the dirt. Again, these are the main beds here. There's the capital E. This is a new tomato bed that I did this year. I did this one 2 foot wide and 10 feet long. I kind of like the 2 foot width, especially for tomatoes, because it lets you get on both sides really well and prune them about as well as you're going to be able to. Like I said, this is the first year. Maybe by the end of the year I don't like it, but it's working well so far. And I have another 2 foot by 12 foot bed over here that's also tomatoes. More on that in a minute. The bed over here that's really overgrown was put in the second year, so that's about 3 years old, and it's another 4 foot wide and 12 foot long. The E-shaped bed is 20 feet wide by 4 foot, and then it has 3 4x8 sections off of it as well. It's much easier to see when it's not grown, but those are the main beds. The first one, the second one has zucchini and cucumbers in it now, and then the 2 new tomato beds. That's most of the area where I grow vegetables. It's working well so far, and I'll give you some more detail. Last year was sort of unexpectedly my worst year for tomatoes, so I'm trying to do things a little different. This year, in this bed, I have San Marzano Redortas. They supposedly come from a mountain region of Italy, but I really like them. They grow really large. This plant here is doing really well. This one, before I mulched, started to get a little diseased and spotted on the leaves, so I had to top that a little bit. So hopefully some suckers take over and that one will grow. This one got attacked by some rabbits early on, but these were suckers that grow up. This variety sends up a lot of suckers, so those are actually coming down from the root base. So hopefully those will do well and produce some tomatoes this year. There's some basil and marigolds in there as well. This tomato, there's a little sucker that came up and is growing, but I've got this one lashed to a rebar pole along with this one, which wasn't the intended plan, but it's what's working now. This one on the end I've sort of lashed to this rebar too, but the rebar is not staying as well in the ground as I would have liked. Tried to do the Florida weave method, but when you lose a couple tomatoes to being topped, that makes it a lot harder because they're not about the same height. But the tomatoes are going well so far, and hopefully this will be a good year. These are them growing. That's probably about a third of the size that they'll get to. With these tomatoes, in this tomato bed, I've got some basil and some marigolds, of course. But on the ends, I have sweetie cherry tomatoes, which I really like. They're very, very sweet and prolific. They will grow to be about 10 feet tall, which is about as high as those poles go. By the end of the summer, that'll probably be leaning over, filled with cherry tomatoes. I love to let the kids just kind of go and pick whatever they can reach and whatever they have. I've done 1 or 2 of those plants each year, but this year I've got 2 growing on this end, and then I have 2 growing on the other end, so hopefully we'll have plenty of those. And I just spotted the first little cherries that are ripening up right there, starting to turn red just a little bit. But then in the middle, in addition to the basil, I have mortgage lifters. This is the first year that I'm growing them on the remesh like that. That's just, they use that for concrete. You can buy it in panels that are just under 4x8, and it's about $8 a pop. But they work really well. I just zip tie it to the rebar, And then these tomatoes have actually been able to train really, really well through the mesh this year. So I'm hoping that that keeps up. I might have to add another piece at the top. But I've got some gorgeous mortgage lifter tomatoes coming in already. It's a little bit further behind than some of my friends around here. But what I make up for in speed, I'll make up for it in quality. We got lots of good tomatoes coming in on that. So this is back over in the original garden section, the capital E part. This hasn't exactly gone according to plan. So let me show you where we are. This bed here has some basil in it there, and there's a Amish cantaloupe in there. That I lost a lot of my cantaloupe to bunnies eating the leaves, but this one's growing. It's one of the last seeds I had of the Amish cantaloupe. 2 seasons ago, those got up to 16 or 18 pound cantaloupes. They're huge. Hopefully we do as well this year. The potato leaves are kind of pushing the beans, which are pushing into the marigolds and some zinnias I planted. And the cantaloupe's going to take it all over soon anyway, so we're just kind of waiting and seeing what happens here. On this side, we've got 3 beautiful zinnias that keep growing bigger and bigger. This was supposed to be hearts of gold melon along here, but we lost all but this plant here to the bunnies. So that's one of the new squash that I planted that you can see. There should be another one popping up over here, but I don't see it yet. Behind the zinnias are big red peppers. We've got some flowers, and we have some teeny tiny peppers on there, but nothing really to show you yet. Hopefully we'll get a lot of good red peppers out of that. This bed over here was sugar snap peas. That's why there's one trellis still up. I took the other one down. I planted in some cucumbers along here because we usually start losing cucumbers at some point too, as well as 2 more zucchini, one over here somewhere and one over here somewhere. And that is another Amish cantaloupe. That was, I had 2 more seeds, so I just threw it in down there between the snap peas. It was a little bit stunted because it was surrounded by sugar snap peas, but it's catching up well. The bees are going crazy in here for the cucumber flowers. I can hear them, but I can't see them all. There's a big bee in there. I can't quite get them on camera. They'll come by. These are the cucumbers. I've got them planted pretty densely, so it's hard to spot some. There's one. There's a small one in there. Sorry about the camera work. I might have to put you guys down for a minute to pick some of these cucumbers so that they keep growing. And I'll try to capture the bees in here as well. We've got sunflowers growing up because once the cucumbers exceed the remesh, they'll start climbing up the sunflowers. They got choked out a little bit by the cucumbers, but that's okay. On the other side of this, we have nasturtiums and zucchini. There's a big bee right there. Let's see if we can get him. We like that. That means we're doing something right when we see those bees around here. While I was down here filming, I noticed a bunch more cucumbers than I thought we had. We just picked these the other day, and I thought we got them pretty clean, but you always miss a few. That's one of the reasons I like doing the cucumbers on this remesh here. I just drove some rebar into the ground and then zip tied the top of it too, but it leans a little bit. And the reason I like to have it lean like that is so that you can shake it and see the heavier cucumbers swinging inside the leaves. It's much, much easier to see them and grab them. It's a little dense, like I said. I planted kind of heavy this year, but we're doing really well so far. This zucchini here, let me get around the back side of it so you can kind of see what's going on. I've already gotten a bunch of zucchini from it, and I've trimmed some of the leaves off as we go. I think I'm going to lose this to a vine borer soon. Pretty sure they've had their way with it. I planted more zucchini for just that purpose. Every year I lose them. There's a different kind of zucchini in there. That's an Italian variety that hasn't given us much, so I probably won't do that again. This is a Durrani Lebanese squash that we've gotten some really nice, very light colored squash off of that darkens up as you cook it. Hasn't done as well as the Black Beauty, but it's doing pretty well. And I still have some more seeds. We'll probably do some more of that. This is a Black Beauty zucchini that I planted from seed directly in the garden. It almost caught up to the one on the end that I did from a seedling inside. I was trying to see what would happen with those two, if it really is better to start them inside. This one also got hit by a borer. But I scooped some compost over, and hopefully that'll choke it out and help it root and stay prolific and giving us some zucchini, because we eat it as fast as it'll grow. But like I said, I have a few more plants coming in, so even if we lose these, we'll be okay. Potatoes. I've got 64 square feet of potatoes right now. They went in, they've been in about 90 days. They went in about March 22nd. And I have 32 square feet here of red potatoes. And then I have 32 square feet of Kennebec white potatoes. As you can see, we've already been robbing a little bit. But let's see if we can find another one in here. My kids love to dig these, so I'm not allowed to dig them on my own. But we get down in there, and there's a nice potato. I lose a lot of these to voles that are in the yard, especially because I have wood mulch. They come up and they'll scratch just a little bit out of a potato, and then move on, which kind of irks me a little bit. They flowered about a month ago, I think. Pretty light purple flowers for the red ones and white for the white potatoes. So we'll dig those up and store them soon and have lots of potatoes for the rest of the summer.